Now you can search for new episodes by subject matter at londonreal.tv. Brought to you by Squarespace, the all-in-one platform we use at London Real.
I'm here for a screening, the London premiere of a documentary called Neurons to Nirvana.
Yes, I saw the trailer for that. It looks very interesting. It's about the use of psychedelics in treating medical disorders. Is that right?
Well, but it's more about consciousness shift and how the world is in a crisis, and a lot of it is because of narrow thinking and people identifying themselves with limited parts of who they are. So they would identify themselves as part of their religion or their nationality or their gender or their race
or their football team,
and then there's the us and them, and then that leads to dehumanizing others and not being sympathetic with others and greed and
so it's a real macro look at the effects of psychedelics breaking down some of these barriers.
And through the psychedelic unit of experience, which people you sort of move through certain levels of consciousness, and with psychedelics, usually the first is kind of certain perceptual changes. Not so much with MDMA, but with the classic psychedelics. There's more visual changes. People's imagination is more fluid. Their ego processing is breaking down. That's what David Nutt and Robin Carhart Harris discovered with psilocybin, that it reduces activity in the default network, which is the filtering process.
Which was kind of surprising. We had both of them on the show, and I know people would always think that your brain would get more active, but it turns out it becomes less active, or the orchestration stops happening between these different parts of the brain.
Yeah, well, the default mode network is sort of synonymous in a way with our ego.
Okay.
And with the things that we need to do as a human being in the world getting through the day. And so there's so much information that our brains are perceiving all the time that we decide not to attend to because it's not fundamental for the tasks that we have to do, or it's not novel, we know it's not dangerous.
Right.
So with psilocybin reducing activity in the default mode network, then the filtering systems are slowed down and you get a flood of material that you're perceiving all the time but don't pay attention to.
Right. Okay.
And that gives you the sense of sort of a broader consciousness and the sense that there's more going on in your brain all the time.
Right. So you stop thinking about, I have to eat this, I have to make sure that guy doesn't kill me, and you can start thinking about, what is my relationship with the society? What is happiness? Why are we here?
Yeah, and you start feeling energy patterns connecting things, and you start feeling that there's this unified force. Not everybody, but this is often the reports. And these are why these drugs have been used for thousands of years, too. People end up this more sense of the connection of things. And once you realize that you're part of nature, that you're part of the human family, you're part of life on Earth, and that's more fundamental than your ego, which is kind of a later development, then you realize that people who may be a different race than you or a different religion than you have more in common with you than they have different. And that there's certain political implications of that. And I think we saw that during the psychedelic 60s, where that was the birth of the women's rights movement and the environmental movement. And I mean, women struggled to get the vote, in 1920s, well before that. Right. But I do mean that there was a lot of development of all these progressive social movements in the 60s. And a lot of it came from when psychedelics go right, when people had this unit of consciousness and what that meant to them.
Right. We take real pride in our websites and who we work with on the show, and those are the guys at Squarespace. They've been running our website, londonreal.tv, and our siliconreal.com for over a year now, and they are an all-in-one platform to make it fast and easy to build your own professional website or portfolio. These guys have the tech down. It's drag and drop. It is easy. I used to run a WordPress site, and I used to have to FTP audio files and all this nonsense. And now when you see these blogs that I write every week where I talk to you about my personal impressions of the guests, I literally just bust those out, drop the picture in, boom, and it's done.